Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the most powerful stories of divine purpose you'll ever find, the life of Joseph. It's a story about betrayal, slavery, and incredible power. But underneath it all, it's really about God's unseen hand working through the absolute messiness of life.
This one sentence, right here, is the key to understanding Joseph's entire life. It's the whole story in a nutshell. It shows us exactly how God's perfect plan can work through human betrayal, suffering, and even our biggest failures.
Now, to understand just how great the end of the story is, we have to start at the beginning. And honestly, Joseph did not start strong. He started out spoiled and pretty immature. At just 17 years old, Joseph was his dad's favorite son. And boy, did he know it. This privilege fueled a really dangerous pride, which he showed off constantly. He was tattling on his brothers, flaunting that famous coat of many colors. He just wasn't wise or humble at all. You see, his dreams were absolutely from God, no question about it. But he shared them like they were his own personal accomplishment, like he was just bragging. It got him a sharp rebuke from his own father and, as you can imagine, deep, deep hatred from his brothers. God gave Joseph the dreams, that's for sure. But before he could ever be lifted up to fulfill them, he had to be brought low, really low. And that's exactly what happened. His brother's betrayal, selling him into slavery, that wasn't just some tragic accident. It was the very first step in a painful but absolutely necessary process of forging his character. The pit wasn't a detour. It was part of the design. And this process took time. Over a decade, in fact. For 13 long years, Joseph endured total injustice and obscurity. First as a slave, then as a prisoner falsely accused. His dreams must have seemed like a distant, fading memory. Now, this period wasn't about God being absent. It was about God forging a leader. See, God builds his leaders in prisons and kills pride with long delays. This time of testing was the very thing preparing Joseph for what was to come. So after all that, the arrogant boy who left his home in Canaan is not the same man who would eventually stand before the most powerful ruler on earth. Not even close. And this right here shows the profound shift inside him. As a boy, it was all about, behold, I have dreamed a dream. But as a man standing before Pharaoh, what does he say? It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer. The focus is no longer on himself at all. It's entirely on God. Joseph's rise to power came not from his own ambition, but from humble service and just being faithful in the lowest possible places. He didn't claw his way to the top. He served his way up by enduring faithfully. Okay, let's zoom out and see how all these pieces fit into the core theme of this entire story, divine providence. So what is providence? It's the truth that God is always working, orchestrating every single detail behind the scenes for a purpose that we might only be able to see when we look back. And this just brilliantly illustrates the chain of events. You can see how each step, no matter how painful it was at the time, was absolutely essential for the final outcome. The betrayal had to happen to get him to Egypt. The prison had to happen to get him to the cupbearer. Every piece mattered. This is the crucial point. When Joseph looks back, he sees God's hand in every single event. He recognizes a divine author behind what his brothers did. He's not saying their sin was okay. He's saying God used it for something much bigger. You know, Joseph's story isn't just about his own life. It actually establishes a pattern that points forward to a much, much greater redemptive work. Now, of course, Joseph was a flawed man. But his life echoes these incredible themes of rejection, exaltation, and salvation that would one day be perfectly fulfilled in Christ. A beloved son, rejected by his brothers, sold for silver, falsely accused, and then exalted to save many lives. The parallels are just undeniable. But we have to be absolutely clear. Joseph is the clay, he's not the potter. He's a servant in the story, not the hero of it. He saved a nation with grain, Christ saved souls for all eternity. Joseph was spared from death. Christ was crushed for our sin. So what's the ultimate takeaway here? It's that God's plan is not fragile. Your suffering is not wasted. Your waiting is not wandering. God's sovereign purpose will always, always prevail. Joseph's story proves that God's will can hurt, but it will never harm you. It is always leading to a glorious end. So the question for us is, where is God writing a greater story through what's happening in your life right now?